Welcome to the Subway Conversation Chat. We all had a chance to celebrate Lou Garrett this past Sunday at all the games, and what a great guy he was. My name's Jamie Malloy, and I'm ready to talk some New York baseball. Now I will bring on my co-host, Joe Dalio. So here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going? Oh, sorry, folks. We like to apologize. Driving to the Top production is having some technical difficulties, so let's try again. Here's Joe. Joe, are you there? Hey, I think he pulled off the screen. I think he pulled off the screen, folks. He's going to try this on his phone. So let's just go on to the Yankees injury report this week. Let's start out with outfielder Jasson Dominguez. Our number one top prospect just had his rehab assignment increased by 10 days and brought over from AA Somerset to AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre yesterday. Dominguez did have 4 home runs and 8 RBIs while playing 10 games with Somerset, batting .316. And Aaron Boone quoted, "His body is in really good shape. His rehab from surgery until now is going exactly how you would really hope," manager Aaron Boone said. "He hasn't had many hiccups. I do feel like body-wise, he is in a great place. He is in a great frame of mind. The reports have been pretty good." Now turning over to our ace pitcher, Gerrit Cole. With the reigning American League Cy Young Award winner being out for 2 months, Cole has made his first rehab start yesterday for AA Somerset. He pitched 3 1/3 scoreless innings, permitting 2 hits and striking out 5 against Hartford. Cole registered 97 miles per hour on his fastball and threw 34-45 pitches for strikes. And Cole said, "Really fun overall. It was a nice environment. Felt really great to get back out there and get back into the flow of things, get some adrenaline," Cole said after his outing. Another quote, "He threw all my pitches for strikes. I left a couple soft breaking balls over the plate. One was a base hit. The other one I got away with, and I was able to move the ball in both sides of the plate and get the top and the bottom of the strike zone. So, yeah, it was good." When asked if he feels like he's close, Cole responded, "Definitely close. I'm not sure how many more we'll need, but definitely closer and farther away. It should be right around the corner here." Open. It looks like Joe's back, folks. Hey, Joe, there you are.
He's trying. I'm trying to use alternate things here. So I'm just having some kind of internet issue. So I'm just going on off the Wi-Fi here. So hopefully you can hear me okay now, probably better than you would have before. So I apologize for the technical difficulties there.
Well, that's okay. Anyways, how you doing tonight?
Doing okay until I was having some computer issues. So if you hear any little beeps on the computer, or like I said, now, Wi-Fi situation is not good. I don't know what's going on, but like I said, I'm off the Wi-Fi. So other than that, a beautiful day here in Buffalo today, yesterday as well, in the 80s here. So summer is just about here, and perfect baseball weather as well. And my favorite team is playing a lot better than we talked about last week. So pretty excited about that.
Exactly. So anyway, when you were gone, Joe, I was just reading about Gerrit Cole making his first rehab start for AA Somerset. And his fastball got up to 97 miles an hour. And there was a couple quotes here saying that he had a lot of fun doing it. He threw of all his pitches, and he feels like he's closer to starting than farther away. So, and he said it should be right around the corner here. So anyway, when Yankees manager Aaron Boone was asked when Cole might be ready to come back to the team, Boone would not commit to how many starts Cole will need in the minor leagues before returning to the majors. That's something that we will kind of work through as we go, Boone said. And we quote, "When we do want to take him, how many pitches do we want to build them up to? Those will all be factored in."
That's awesome.
Now, on to some not so good injury news for the Bombers. Clarke Schmidt. the Yankees face a tougher challenge as their starting rotation was on a monumental run without ace Garrett Cole. But, now number 36 is placed on the 15-day disabled list and cannot throw for 4 to 6 weeks. The 28-year-old underwent an MRI last Wednesday, and it showed that he had a right lateral strain. He will not be able to throw for 4 to 6 weeks. And Aaron Boone quoted, obviously, Clark has been one of those guys that has been pitching so well. It stinks for him, but hopefully we'll have him down and get him on the mound and hopefully get him back at some point. Now, let's turn it over to Joe for some Mets news. Joe, what do you got for us?
All right. Well, it's funny because I was watching, I don't know if you talked about this while I was battling here, but I watched a little bit of the Yankees game last night and I saw LeMahieu playing. So that's got to be encouraging for Yankee fans.
It definitely is for me.
Yeah, for sure. And that was good to see. And certainly hearing about Garrett Cole, that's awesome as well. So the Mets are getting some good news on the injury front as far as Francisco Alvarez. He's making some minor league starts now. He played in Binghamton earlier this week, so Double-A team for the Mets there. So and did quite well. So again, that's encouraging. Now he's not quite ready to go. He's not going to make the trip with the Mets to London. Pretty exciting stuff we'll talk about in a little bit. The Mets are going to London. I don't know if they're leaving tonight or tomorrow, but exciting things there. But Alvarez will not be going on that. However, they're saying he could be back in the lineup as early as the first part of next week, or at the latest by the middle of next week, assuming there's no setbacks there. So certainly Mets fans and baseball fans, I'm sure, happy about that as well. A couple other things. Jorge Lopez, pitcher, part of that middle relief group. He was designated for assignment late last week, but then was later released by the Mets yesterday. One thing I was a little curious about is they sent Christian Scott down at the end of the week. He had pitched a game and pitched decently. And, the time that I forget how many starts he had, but the time he was pitching, he was doing well, had maybe one rough outing and several good ones. So I was a little confused as to why they sent him back down to Syracuse. And then I read further about it, and they were basically saying that, it's not because of ineffectiveness, but the Mets have 3 off days here in the next week and a half just because of this London trip. They're off tomorrow and Friday, and then they play Saturday and Sunday, and then they're off again on Monday. So with those off days and the fact that they got McGill back, they got Peterson back, as part of that starting rotation, they could spread those guys out a little bit, over time. And then plus with these off days here, again, 3 off days, that's a lot for that short a period of time. So they thought it would be best to send him back down just to get some more starts and get some work and just kind of fine tune what he was doing here. So, nothing that he did badly that got him sent down, just to get him tuned up and figure some things out there. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Christian Scott back, not in the near future here. The Mets got a former Yankee here, a catcher named Luis Torrens. And I don't know how much he was playing with the Yankees there, but he was traded to the Mets for cash and actually played today and did quite well. We'll talk about that when we talk about some stats. Other news here, this we talked about last week. Something that I'm not surprised about is the Mets sent Brett Baty down to the minors there. So he was struggling, a lot of strikeouts, even though he got off to a good start at the beginning of the season. Again, more fine-tuning. Now with Vientos being here and playing extremely well, and some other infielders that they got, they again, just to get his confidence back and hopefully get him back to the Mets sooner than later. So not a surprise really that Baty was sent down. Also not a surprise, Omar Narvaez was designated for assignment. He was, a catcher, and especially with Alvarez coming back, Narvaez wasn't hitting. He was only hitting 154, so struggling there. And, he was released as well a couple of days ago, too. Other than that, Drew Smith, they got back from the IL, got some action this week. And a guy named Shintaro Fujinami, Japanese pitcher that they were looking to get going. He went from the 15-day IL to the 60-day IL. Won't be pitching with the Mets until at least mid-July. So anybody that was looking forward to see him is going to have to wait at least a month and a half, 2 months. They said shortly after the All-Star break if all goes well. So, hopefully that's the case. But again, the Mets not hurting for pitching depth right now. And again, when you can send somebody like Christian Scott down, it's not a bad situation to be in. Instead of having guys up and using people maybe that are not ready for a major league, people are doing well enough here that they can send a guy like Buto, send a guy, like Scott back to the minors for further fine tuning. So that's pretty much it going on with the Mets. No updates on Edwin Diaz. I looked to see maybe if they had some timelines there, and I really didn't see anything. So nothing has really changed in that department. So, and the same with Senga. That timeline seems to be pushed back more and more. So we'll keep our eyes out and see what happens for them. It would be great talk about depth in the starting rotation. They can get him back. That would really make a difference and help the starting rotation even more. So that's the Mets news as far as this past week.
Thank you, Joe, for that. Now, for the Mets news, that sounds like some good and bad there, but mostly positive. So now we're going to move on back to the Yankees and talk about rookie sensation Luis Hill. Hill has become the Garrett Cole of the Yankees starting rotation right now. The 100-mile-an-hour fastball man has become the Yankees version of Paul Skeens. Crazy comparison, but maybe not in this case.
Mm-hmm. He's a little more. Hill is a little more seasoned right now than Skeens.
Right, but they're technically both rookies, despite that.
That's true.
But anyway, Gil could be opening up the door for the Yankees to go to a 6-man rotation when Cole gets back. But for now, they can glow at the fact that they have a rookie season pitcher with El Duque potential. Hill finished May 6-0 in 6 starts with a .78 ERA. Hill is not surprised at all that he expects even more out of himself. Gil was also named Player of the Week.
Awesome.
Now we're going to move on to Cody Poteet. Poteet delivered 5 strong innings since being called up from AAA Scranton. Poteet is replacing Clark Schmidt, who is on the 15-day disabled list. The 29-year-old was signed as a free agent this past offseason. The righty limited the San Francisco Giants to 3 runs on just 3 hits and a walk. Sad to see Schmidt hurt, but this is a Poteet situation for the Yankees. He has lots of talent and a package so Poteet. Poteet isn't looking far ahead and is just living in the moment right now. It's been Aaron Judgment May. Aaron Judge is currently the Yankees captain. I think most people know that by now, but for our viewers that don't, he is, okay? Despite early season mishaps, number 99 was confident he could turn things around. And Judge was proven correct as he ended the month with his 18th home run against the Angels. Judge may now be the luckiest man after tying Lou Gehrig for an historic accomplishments. And on to our show and tell segment, the funniest Yankee. You can ask Yankee players anything outside of baseball too. Yankees beat reporter Brian Hoke recently received questions from fans rating from normal to above and beyond room temperature level. Some of the questions asked were, and we'll get to them right now. The Knicks Make Me Drink ask, who is the nicest player you've ever covered? I've been fortunate to cover a lot of good guys during my time on the beat. This is what the beat reporter for the Yankees said. But I have to say Johnny Damon comes to mind as one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Always accountable, honest, and funny. Back in the day, we used to do post-game Q&As with one player throughout an entire postseason. Johnny was an easy choice circa 2007 because I knew he would be up for it. Silvercat13 asks, in your opinion, who would win a hot dog eating contest in this current roster? And to which the B reporter goes, LOL, I'll put my money on Giancarlo Stanton. A few years ago, I talked to a high school friend of his, and he told me how Giancarlo would crush In-N-Out burgers back in the day, putting everyone else to shame. Also, have you seen how he eats a Kit Kat bar? It's probably why he dieted and lost all of his weight this offseason. But Joe, can you imagine him? He's so skinny, eating like that.
Right.
Silvercat13 also asks, who is the funniest Yankee you have known that fans are unaware because of how serious he is on the field and cameras? He goes, I don't know if fans are unaware of this, but I'll say it anyway. Brett Gardner is still hilarious. He had this weary sense of humor, was the ultimate prankster, a pain in the you-know-what to his teammates, and you need that during a 162-game season. I miss that guy. Jeter was also much funnier than he let on. I'm glad he's showing that side of him on social media now. Mm-hmm. That's why they used to say back in the day, he's got an edge and not just a Ford Edge. Derek Jeter, those Ford Edge commercials. Yep. Anyway, the last question is from Blarko, and he asks, Michael Kay always seems to have funny or interesting stories from his time as a beat writer to share on the broadcast. If you were in the booth for an inning, what would be your go-to story? To which Brett replies, I get to do an inning with Michael and David Cohn a couple years back when I was filling in for Meredith Marakovich. This was surreal. I think I called it Yes Network Fantasy Camp. If I get one inning to make you laugh, I'll tell you all about how I tore my ACL and my Achilles in the outfield at Yankee Stadium, not in the same game. That's why the writers are in the press box and the athletes are on the field. Anyway, guess what, Joe? It is now that time in our week for our question of the week segment. So would you like to give it a try?
All right, let's go. First of all, excellent information. I enjoyed listening to that, the information you just shared there. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I'm on another streak here. So let's see if we can make it 2 in a row.
Okay, Joe. For two straight questions in a row, correct, on the Subway Conversation chat, here's your question. Currently, Emmanuel Clase of the Cleveland Guardians and Ryan Heasey of the St. Louis Cardinals are tied for the most saves in the MLB at 17. So can you tell me, Joe, which pitcher held the most saves for the 2023 season? Is it Alexei Diaz of the Cincinnati Reds, Clay Holmes of the New York Yankees, Emmanuel Clase of the Cleveland Guardians, or Camille Duvall, Pittsburgh Pirates?
Oh, well, I know it wasn't Edwin Diaz in 2023. Let's see. I don't think it was Clase. What were the first two you mentioned?
Alexis Diaz and Clay Holmes.
All right. What team was Alexis Diaz on?
Cincinnati Reds.
All right. And Holmes was on the Cardinals?
The Yankees.
Oh, the Yankees. That's right. All right. So I'm going to go with Diaz of the Reds.
Nope. It actually was Emmanuel Clase.
It was Clase. I did not. I mean, Cleveland wasn't winning many games last year. So I thought, as well as he's doing this year, I wasn't so sure that he had the saves last year. So, all right, well, good to know. And I guess we're going to have to start another streak here.
Okay, so Alexis Diaz had 37, Clay Holmes had 24, Emmanuel Clase had 44, and Camille had 37 with Diaz.
Okay.
So now let's turn our attention back to Joe for Mets news. Joe?
All right. So again, my audience, forgive me. I got things popping up on my computer. I've been having issues with that, trying to balance and get in the right camera angle here. So forgive me if I'm a little distracted, but I've got some notes for you here. It was a good week for the Mets, 5-2, including today's game. And They went 2-2 against the Diamondbacks. Could have been 4-0 in that series, honestly, or at least 3-1. But a 3-game sweep of the Nationals, that's definitely a positive step here. So we'll take that. Again, the Mets playing at home struggle. They're 13-21 at home, and better, I think, 13-14, one game under 500 on the road. So, or they might even be at 500 now after winning today's game. Not quite sure. Now, some of these stats I have may not include today's game. I tried to get everything updated as fast as I could. But Pete Alonso, JD Martinez, and Mark Vientos each had 2 home runs this week. 5 RBIs for Alonso and Vientos, 4 for Martinez. Starling Marte had 6 RBIs for the week, so he led the team. Marte, Martinez, Vientos, and Lindor, this was pretty interesting, all had OPSs over 1,000. So that's pretty awesome. Again, today's stats may have changed that, although Lindor played well today. Vientos, Marte, and Lindor all hit over 400 this week too. And in Jose Iglesias, again, one of those infielders I was talking about, he hit over 400 this week. I think after today, he's going to end up with like 390. But still, positive contributions from him. So now Alonso and Nimmo have 31 RBIs. Lindor had 30 before today, but he had at least 1 today. So I think he might be tied with them. Alonso, 14 home runs, leads the team there. So before today's game, you were talking about Francisco Lindor barely getting over 200 and how bad he was struggling. Before today, his average was 232. So brought the average up about 30 points in like 2 weeks since we had that discussion. So, he had a home run today. Harrison Bader had a nice game today, 3 RBIs. The catcher we were just talking about, Torrens, had a home run and 2 RBIs today. So he making contributions as well. Let's talk about some pitching here. Now, last week we were talking about the BS of the Mets, right? The blown saves, and 2 blown saves and a blown lead as well, or a tie game that they blew. So this week they did have another blown save. This time it was Diekman that blew the save. That was against Arizona. They were up by a run going into the last inning and should have won that game, but blew the save, and Diekman got the loss as well. Now, the Mets are being very generous these days, but besides blowing saves, we talked about this backstage, they're trying to give games away. They had a 4-run lead in one of those games against the Diamondbacks that they won, and the Diamondbacks scored 3 in the last inning and almost tied it up. Same thing against the Nationals here. One of these games, they had a 3-run lead. They gave up 2 runs in the last inning, were able to hold on this time. But stop being so generous, Mets, and just close these games the way you're supposed to close them. Let us fans live a little bit longer because, I've had a few cardiac situations here. So please, stop blowing these saves and, win by 3 instead of barely by 1 here. Okay.
They did win by 3 that second game, though, against the Nationals.
Yes. And won by 8 today. So,
Right.
Nothing to complain about there. But still, those 2 games there, the one against the Diamondbacks and the one against the Nationals, those shouldn't have even been close. So, they're just maddening for the manager, maddening for the rest of the team, maddening for fans. So stop doing that, please. So some rough starts for the starters here. We were talking about that depth and everything and how they have the luxury of sending some of these good pitchers down. But as we've discussed all season, they're going innings. Sean Manaea had 4. He gave up 5 earned runs in his start this week, but he did go 5 2/3. So again, you're not putting that stress on the bullpen. Manaea had 10 strikeouts that game. Tyler McGill, again, he's been pitching great since he got back. He gave up 4 earned runs in his starts, 7 hits in 5 innings. He did get the win there. Now, Luis Severino, his first start earlier in the week, he pitched 5 1/3. He gave up 4 earned runs, 6 hits, though he got the win. Now today, we're talking one of the best starts for any Mets pitcher this season. He went 8 innings and only gave up 1 earned run in that game we were talking about against the Nationals today. So excellent start. And again, when you can go 8 innings and have a relief pitcher pitch, 1 inning, and he was the only reliever that came in, that's big. And now, again, the Mets have 2 days off. So, not only does that help the relief and give them a break there, but basically they got 3 days off now before they have to go against the Phillies there. So excellent start by Luis Severino. Now we're talking about Christian Scott being sent down, but his last start before that, he still pitched 5 innings and only gave up 2 earned runs and 4 hits in that start. So he did very well. Another positive start here. David Peterson, since coming back from the IL, 6 2/3 for his start, and he only gave up 2 earned runs and 5 hits and got the win in that one. So he continues to do very well since he came back, and better than he did all last season, it seems like. So Danny Young is the new star of the bullpen, of this diverse bullpen that the Mets have had all seasons. He pitched 3 games. This is not including today. I think he's the one that came in the 9th inning today. But before that, I didn't get his stats for today. I mean, he got him down 1, 2, 3. But 3 games before today, 2 2/3 innings, only 1 hit and a .38 WHIP. So that's really good. They only hit 111 against him. And again, 1, 2, 3 if he's the one that I'm thinking of that came in today. Adrian Hauser, after the rough start, continues to get better. They still have him in the bullpen, but pitched 4 innings this week and only gave up 2 hits and no earned runs. So that's good. Diekman and Reed Garrett each got a save. Adam Ottavino is still struggling. He only pitched an inning and a third this week and gave up 2 hits and 2 earned runs in that time. So, it's kind of closing by committee now until, Diaz gets back. And even if he does get back, getting back to form, just to see, what the situation is going to be like. But I don't mind this bullpen by committee as long as they're getting the job done. Again, Diekman blew a save this week, but he did get one as well. And so did Reed Garrett. So good stuff there. So coming up this week now, again, the big thing is London. And I feel the same, people ask me, how do you feel about these, foreign games? And I'm going to ask you the same thing. In fact, but I guess before I state my spiel here, what do you think about Major League Baseball playing in London, playing in Mexico, and things like that?
I think it kind of takes away home field advantage.
Yeah. It's like the NFL. I really don't like the NFL playing playing abroad. I get it. You're trying to sell the game. You're trying to market the game, especially in a place like Mexico where, baseball is big and a lot of these players come from there. You want to sell the game internationally. I just don't like these London trips. And, it's tough on the Mets, but who it could really affect is the Phillies. They're playing the best baseball besides a team called the Yankees. The Phillies are playing amazing baseball. And this is something that could really, I'm trying to ruin the rhythm. I'm trying to come up with a better word than that, but really kind of take away some momentum and, the whole jet lag thing. And they're not getting much of a break. I mean, the teams are playing Saturday and Sunday. They're off Monday, and then both teams are playing Tuesday, I believe. So it's really not much of a break. It's not like the NHL when they play in Europe and then they get like a week off or something, or in the beginning of the season when they play in Korea and, they're not playing again for another week. This is mid-season. This is, again, you're getting a day off beforehand, 2 days off beforehand, but only one afterwards, which I kind of disagree with. But I don't know. Again, it's good for the fans, but good for the people, in London that want to see this. But I don't know. I'm against it, and it could certainly affect the Mets but I think it'll have a worse effect or a harder effect on the Phillies. But anyway, that's coming. 2 games. Luckily, it's not in Philadelphia because it seems like the Phillies can't lose in Philadelphia, although they did lose one this week. 3 with the Marlins at Citi Field, and then 3 with the Padres. So another big homestand here for the Mets. And again, that concerns me a little bit because they're not. And, we'll see what happens with that. But again, 13-21 record at home. They can have a, maybe split with the Phillies. That would be awesome if they could split with the Phillies and then go 4-2 then, ideally. If they can do better than 4-2, great. But I'm not going to put too much stock into these homestands because they had the 10-game homestand recently, and we were hoping for big things there. But it didn't go too well. So let's hope that, again, 4-2 homestand, maybe split these games in London and just keep going forward.
Yeah. It looks like we just looks like we lost Joe again. But yeah, Joe, I agree. I think these games are very tiring. But anyway, it's tiring for the players and everything and things like that. I think it's very, tiring for the managers too. It's tiring for everybody. Anyway, guys,
Right.
There you are, Joe. So, Joe, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. We're still having some issues. It's probably network, even, because I have my internet through my. I'll try to hang in there.
Okay, so it looks like anyway, he's back. We're gonna move on to talking about the Hunnell boys now. And this is the Pittsburgh Pirates. They may have 2-star pitchers in the making. Together, both Paul Skeens and Jared Jones each throw at least 100 miles per hour. Skeens already totals 30 strikeouts and is 2-0 with a 2.45 ERA. The 22-year-old fans 7 batters in his MLB debut. Last Wednesday on Skeens' 22nd birthday, he struck out 9 Tigers in 6 innings on 96 pitches. The Pirates won the game 10-2. As for Jones, he is 3-5 with a 3.55 ERA, but boasts 70 strikeouts to Skeens' 30. Time will tell if these boys spend their whole career with the Pirates, but for now they are young stars to be. So, Joe, what do you think about this?
It's very exciting to be a Pirates fan these days, and that's what happens when these teams, they get draft picks, they get, all kinds of these young players, and that's how some of these teams have built championship caliber teams: Houston Astros, Baltimore Orioles. So, I'm sure Pirates fans are hoping that they're going in the same direction. But it's not only exciting for Pirates fans. Again, I love to watch these pitchers whenever I can as well. So, Skeens, today, he already had, I think when I looked, he had like 8 strikeouts in the first 3 innings. I figured he's going up against the Dodgers. I paid some money to predict that he'd get less than 8 strikeouts today, but I saw that I was wrong about that. And, he's only going to keep getting better. Let's just hope, again, these flamethrowers here, with arm issues and stuff like that, let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that he could stick around for a while. And Jones too, that to have not only one of these type of pitchers, but 2, that's pretty phenomenal in my opinion, that, you can have 2 of these guys going. And again, very exciting for Pirates fans, and not only these pitchers, but they have some other good young players as well, that, they're already playing decent baseball. Still probably a year or 2 away, but it's got to be exciting. And I've talked about it before, and you've said it as well. We kind of have soft spots in our heart for those small market teams, and anytime one of them can build into a contender, I'm all for it. So I'm certainly hoping that things continue to go well for the Pirates and these 2 young pitching studs.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Anyway, now we're going to move on to the 4 MLB best draft prospects to watch. Number 1 is Charlie Condon, outfielder from Georgia. The number 1 prospect in baseball, can surely hit the ball out of the ballpark. He has 35 homers, the most since rocket fuel was taken out of the bats in 2011. Here's a fun fact. He's coached by Wes Johnson, who coached none other than Paul Skeens at LSU last year. And he's also 6'6" and has Aaron Judge traits. Number 2, we have Hagen Smith, left-handed pitcher out of Arkansas. He is Arkansas's all-time leader in strikeouts. The 6'3" lefty has a fastball in the mid-90s, so not up to Paul Skeens level, but he could probably get a chance to play AAA or maybe play in the big leagues very, very soon if he gets drafted. Yep. So, and he also threw 7 hitless games and 4 one-hit outings in 2021. Next, we have two-way first baseman, left-handed pitcher Jack Caglione from Florida, the Gators. Stop there, folks. He is one of the most vital two-way players as a prospect in the game right now. He's a sure thing at the plate as he hit 35 or 33 home runs as a sophomore. He is one of the many two-way players in this draft, and also he's nicknamed Jackatoni by his teammates. And lastly, we have Chase Burns, Chase Burns, right-handed pitcher, Wake Forest, and he transferred to Wake Forest from Tennessee. So, and this kind of reminds me, he's kind of like Tammy from the Amanda Show. Instead of my name's Tammy, I'm an exchange student from Tennessee. It's my name's Chase Burns. I'm a right-hand pitcher at Wake Forest. I'm a transfer from Tennessee. If anybody remembers the Amanda Show.
That's down pretty good. You sure you haven't been spending some time down there?
No. But anyway, he struck out 16 batters versus Clemson, which is a career high, and he's also a hundo boy, which means he's part of the 100 club. He can throw 100 miles an hour. Paul Skeens and Jared Jones, anyone? So, Joe, what do you think about these prospects and their potential to either play in the minors right away or crack the big leagues right away if they get drafted?
I'd be curious to see. Now, I'm always watching like this Major League Baseball pipeline, and I'm I like to keep an eye on the hot prospects and stuff like that. So we may be seeing these guys on that top 100 list there, maybe even top 10 list, like Skeens was up there and, he's still there. Guys like Gunnar Henderson now that are going to be off that list, and Holiday, for the Orioles as well. Hopefully if he can, get his act together. But sometimes it takes these guys a couple of years to get going. The Tigers had a whole list of these guys that were on that list, and you thought they were going to be a powerhouse. And this was a couple of years ago. And now you're starting to see, some of those guys like Torkelson and Green and, the Skubal, who's one of the best pitchers in the American League now. So we're going to start seeing these guys move up that potential list, move up that prospect list. And some of the guys you were talking about there, I think we might see up there sooner than later because, they're pitching very impressively. It's why their college teams are doing so well. So stay tuned because it'll be very interesting. And I would not be surprised to see some or most of those guys that you just talked about on there.
I agree, definitely. The prospect pool seems to get better every year as the veteran players get better and the game evolves, the prospects get better too. So good parity there. So anyway, now we're going to turn our attention to some new records being made in MLB history. There has been Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, and Ty Cobb, who have been considered the best players in history. We are now going to learn about another individual who will join that incredible bunch. It's Hall of Fame catcher Josh Gibson. He, along with previous Negro League players, will have their statistics properly entered into the Major League Baseball's historical records. The MLB formally upgraded the Negro League statistics to Major League Baseball in December of 2020. Gibson spent his whole career in the Negro Leagues from 1930, 1933 to 1940, and 1942 to 46. Gibson, we have a article here, a little tidbit from the Democrat and Chronicle here, and it says Gibson is MLB's new all-time career leader in batting average, 372, moving ahead of Ty Cobb's, sledding percentage, 718, moving ahead of Ruth, OPS of 1.177 ahead of Ruth, and holds the all-time single-season records in each of those categories. And we have a quote here. When you hear Josh Gibson's name now, it's not just that he was the greatest player in the Negro League, Sean Gibson, Gibson's great-grandson, told USA Today Sports, but one of the greatest of all time. These aren't just Negro League stats, they're Major League Baseball stats too. This means so much for not only the Josh Gibson family, but representing the 2,300 men in the Negro Leagues who didn't get an opportunity to play in the Major Leagues. The combined statistics also magnified the numbers of other players in the Negro League, such as everyone's favorite, Jackie Robinson. After playing for the Kansas City Monarchs in 1945, the second baseman had 49 more hits, giving him 1567. And not only did he break barriers there, but then he, as we all know, ended up becoming the first Black baseball player to break the color barriers in the MLB, and he did that quite well, which is why we have Jackie Robinson Day, April 15th, and we'll get into that too. Seckel Page, while also playing for the Kansas City Monarchs in 1944, the pitcher had the third best single season ERA at 1.01, with his career win total rising from 28 to 124. And finally, we have Minnie Minoso. While playing for the New York Cubans, the third baseman had 150 hits that landed him over the 2,000 hit doorstep with a total of 2,113. And we quote here, "This is a great day for all the Negro League players," Gibson said. "We're so excited by this. Hopefully one day we can have a National Negro Leagues Day where every MLB player will wear a Negro League uniform." Gibson has requested the date to be May 2nd, commemorating the first Negro League games in 1920. It is not to take anything away from Jackie Robinson Day, Gibson said, but it would be nice to celebrate all Negro League players and not just one person. So, Joe, I want to ask you, what do you think about having a National Negro Leagues Day where the MLB players wear Negro League uniforms on top of Jackie Robinson Day? Because right now, this is happening in the minor leagues where the Red Wings on June 14th against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders are going to be having it looks like we lost him again. But what do you think of this potential idea? Well, it looks like Joe can't answer this one, so we'll move right on. Let's take a look at some of the MLB leaders for May as we head into June. Number one, we have Joey Ortiz of the Milwaukee Brewers, Rookie of the Month. Part of the return package the Orioles sent to the Brewers for ace pitcher Corbin Burns, Ortiz becomes the 8th Bruins player and the first since Keston Hiura in 2019 to receive Rookie of the Month honors. The third baseman ranked second among ML players, minimum of 50 PAs behind Harper with a 978 OPS, slashing 307, 391, and 587 with 4 homers, 1 triple, 7 doubles, and 12 RBIs in 23 games. Next, we have Bryce Harper for the Philadelphia Phillies, NL Player of the Month. Harper was an offensive powerhouse in May, leading all NL qualifiers with a .990 OPS, while also topping the league's leaderboard in homers, tied for first with 7 and RBIs, first outright with 24. This is the first time Harper has won Player of the Month honors since April 2016 and third time overall in his career. Next, we have Robert Suarez, San Diego, NL Reliever of the Month. Suarez has had an outstanding season with the Padres' new closer in place of Hader, who left as a free agent in the offseason to sign with the Astros. The righty covered all 7 of his save chances in May and finished the month with a .03 ERA, strikeouts, and 1 walk over 12 and a third innings. Oh, but it looks like Joe's back. So, Joe, when you left, I wanted to ask you, what do you think of the MLB having a National Negro Leagues Day where all the MLB players wear Negro League uniforms on top of Jackie Robinson Day, because they're doing this with the Red Wings against Scranton on July 14th, where they're going to honor the celebrate Night of the Negro League.
Yeah, it's funny because I heard everything you were saying. I was waiting. You were asking me. My Wi-Fi was lagging. I was like, oh, come on, let me be able to talk about this before I cut out again. So I think it's a great idea, and I don't mean to sound ignorant here, but I don't know a lot of the players that you were talking about. I know Satchel Paige, obviously, and Jackie Robinson, but I think this brings a greater awareness to fans like myself that have been watching for 50 years plus, or no matter how long you've been watching. It kind of brings a greater awareness of the Negro Leagues and their accomplishments, to the mix. So I think it's a great idea for them to do this, and on top of Jackie Robinson Day. And hopefully I don't cut out soon here because it looks like I'm going to, but I think it's a great idea, and I would like to see Major League Baseball implement.
Okay, so yeah, I agree too. Oh, looks like he cut out again. So anyway, let's move on. We're going to talk about Luis Hill, New York Yankees, AL Rookie of the Month. It's a double dip for Hill, who takes home top AL rookie bonuses honors, becoming the first Yankee pitcher to do so since the Rookie of the Month award was established in 2001. In addition to the AL Pitcher of the Month award, the 26-year-old yielded just 14 hits over 38 and 2/3 innings in May, holding opponents to a 109 batting average, tied for the 9th lowest in a calendar month, minimum 100 batters faced since at least 1901. And lastly, we have Chris Sale, Atlanta NL Pitcher of the Month. Sale has looked like his old self in 2024, stepping up in a big way after the Braves lost opening day starter Spencer Strider for the season to right elbow surgery. The left-handed Sale finished May with a 5-0 record and a 0.56 ERA and a 45-2 K strike ball walk ratio in 32 innings spanning 5 starts. Since the beginning of 2016, only 3 pitchers, Jacob deGrom, 0.51 ERA in March, April 2021, Hyunjoo Ray, 0.5 ERA in July 2019, and Jordan Zimmerman, 0.55 ERA in March, April 2016, have posted a lower EA and a camp minimum. And Joe's back again, folks. So, Joe, what do you think of all these players that I mentioned about the MLB leaders?
Yeah, and I didn't hear any of what you said. I'm probably going to have to cut out here because there's obviously something with my network. I'll try to hang in there here, but I'll say my goodbyes now if I cut out again. Well, who were some of the players? I apologize to the audience for that too, because now Jamie's got to repeat himself here. But who were some of those players you had mentioned?
Joey Ortiz, Bryce Harper, Robert Suarez, Luis Gil, and Chris Sale. Okay.
And I know, Harper, I've seen a couple of Phillies games this week, and he's just been on fire. Hill for the Yankees has been amazing all year. And I'm not too sure about the accomplishments of the other people that you were talking about there, but, Harper's playing like Harper. And, we talked about Hill before. So certainly, definitely these guys making impacts for their team.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, before you have to cut off again here for good, where can we find you on social media on Wednesday, June 5th, 2024?
All right. So when the internet works, it's X, Twitter, Joe Dell Sports.
Okay, and then you can find me, yours truly, on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on X and theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. Don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button on our YouTube page, Driving to the Top Productions, and be sure to tune in every Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. for the Subway Conversation Chat on our YouTube page, our Twitch page, and our Facebook page, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you very much for listening, folks, and your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You've been listening to the Subway Conversation Chat with Jamie and Joe. See you next week, folks.
Have a great week, everybody.